Like to call the Town of Clinton Planning Board meeting, virtual meeting to order on Tuesday, October 20th at 7:31. Due to COVID-19 pandemic and pursuant to the executive order number 202.1 issued on March 12th, 2020, suspending the open meetings law and emergency state and federal bans on large meetings or gatherings. The Town of Clinton Planning Board scheduled for October 20th, 2020 will be held electronically via Zoom instead of a public meeting open for the public to attend in person. Members of the public may view the board meeting as it is live streamed on YouTube, www.townofclinton.com/government/planning-board/videos. A transcript of the meeting will be posted on the town's website at a later date. First item on the agenda is the Niebling, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, area variance. Is anybody in the room for that?
I don't know the names of the.
Niebling,
Yeah, you said it.
the Niebling one.
Okay. Is somebody at the meeting?
Yeah, she's coming in.
Okay.
Larry is coming in.
Who? Niebling is the first one. Larry,
That's who I let in.
yes.
Okay, who is in the meeting now?
They're not. I don't see video and no audio.
Hold on. Building. Yes. Oh, yes, Aaron, I just want to let you know, we're calling it one by one as you get called, so just hang in there, all right? We're calling the first item on the agenda, and then as we go along, and then we'll let you in, because it gets crowded on, you know what I'm saying? All right, thank you, yeah, bye.
Hello?
Hi, Larry.
Hi, guys. Sorry, I've never even Zoomed before. Do you want me to show my face?
If you'd like.
That would be wonderful.
Okay, hang on. Come here for a sec.
Okay. And who are we speaking to?
Larry.
Yep, Larry Niebling.
Okay. Larry, this is a two-step process. The planning board, which you are in front of right now, will give a recommendation, either yay, nay, or neutral to the zoning board, and they will make the final decision on whether to grant your variance. So
Okay.
if you can explain briefly what you're doing, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so basically I'm just looking for I'll call it a dry storage area. Just to put basic needs that I really don't want near, in the garage attached to the house, or underneath our sunroom area, as far as gasoline, hand tools, stuff like that. So it's pretty much like a dry storage area for me is really what it is.
Okay. And your variance is the rear yard from 75 to 40 feet. That's correct, right? That's what you're looking
Yes,
for?
correct. Yep.
Okay. Sarah? Since
Yep,
you
I'm
have anything to add here?
Well, yeah, after visiting the property, really, other than from the Niebling house, nobody can see this. I mean, you might see the top half of it from the road based on where it is, but it's not in full view of the road. But none of the neighboring properties, residences, can view this building from there. There's a stone wall along the back property line, and they've got a sort of a gravel stone pad already in. The size of the carport's fairly small at 18 by 21, and it really they don't plan. There are several trees in front of between the residence and the carport that they do not plan. That Mr. Niebling said that they did not plan on removing. So they do not plan to blacktop to this building. It really is going to be sort of a glorified shed that they're putting in. So it doesn't appear that there are any anything out of the ordinary on this one.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on this application?
Yeah, Sarah, you mentioned that the carport was a glorified shed. What's the distinction and why isn't it being called a shed?
It's being called a carport. That's what the application said. I guess that's a question for Mr. Niebling as to why they chose to call it a carport as opposed to a shed.
I guess I really don't know. Just kind of what I've heard from, other people that have purchased these things. I mean, I put the company name on there. And as far as the shed goes, the whole unit itself is only staked in the ground. There's no concrete footings. As far as that goes. So technically it's, movable per se. Cause there's nothing that's securing it but the portable stakes.
Is it a roof with posts or does it have walls?
Yeah, it's a metal building. You can also, I guess, refer to it as like a type of a lean-to. It has a metal roof with just metal siding.
On all four sides or just three?
Three sides, and the front's gonna be open. So the two sides, the rear and the front's gonna be open. And the front is obviously closer to the house. Facing the side of the house, yeah.
And there will not be a concrete pad, correct? You're going to just have the gravel pad.
Yes, correct. Yep.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions for the applicant? I take that's a no.
Yeah, going once, going twice. Actually,
Okay.
I'm
I had
sorry.
one
I do
question.
have a question though, and
Well-
this is not even pertaining to the variance of the building. So, like I said, I'm new at this Zoom, and how do you actually show yourself on it? I don't even know. I'm not good with
We could see you.
technology.
We could see you.
From the nose up.
Oh, you can see me from the nose
There
up.
we go. That's better. Now we see
Oh
your
my
whole
god.
face.
Okay, sorry about all that.
It's your camera.
Sorry. Okay.
All right, Sarah,
So-
do you have a resolution?
Well, one
Yeah.
thing, wait. So was there some mention of a underground propane tank, or am I mixing things up?
There was not.
Oh, okay. I must have been reading a different thing. Okay.
The
So
next one.
it's just the shed?
Yep.
Okay. Sounds
All
good.
right. Resolution, Town of Clinton Planning Board to provide a conditional positive recommendation to the Zoning Board of Appeals on the requested area variance to section 250 attachment 2, reducing the rear yard setback from 75 feet to 40 feet to build an 18 by 21 metal carport in the side yard of the existing single-family residence as requested by Larry Niebling on property located at 355 Browns Pond Road, tax grid number 62800926323. in an AR5A zoning district. The applicant is requesting an area variance of the rear yard setback from 75 to 40 feet, section 250 attachment 2, on a 2.59 acre lot to build an 18 by 21 metal carport in the side yard of the existing single family residence. The lot's 2.59 acres. This lot is non-conforming due to its acreage, 2.59 where 5 is required. At least 3 of the other lots in close proximity are pre-existing substandard lots with similar setback variances. It is our judgment that the variance required to construct this carport would not adversely affect the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood. Lot is non-conforming in an AR5A zoning district. Property is, this is the one thing I wasn't able to locate, whether it is or is not in an agricultural district. Does anyone know the answer to that? Larry?
I'm sorry, what's that?
You know if your property is in an agricultural district?
To be honest with you, I don't know the exact answer to that question.
Okay, that's just one thing I'll have to.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
Size of the carport would be 378 square feet. I'm hoping somebody can help me with the math on making the lot, what the lot coverage would then be. I'm pretty confident it doesn't exceed the 7%, but is there somebody?
Well, an acre is what, 40,000 square feet, so this is going
Not
to
even
be.
close.
Yeah,
It's not even close. It's like 0.01%.
Yeah, it's fine.
The property, I am not sure of the answer to this. Mr. Niebling, do you know if the property is within a ridgeline scenic and historic protection overlay district?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Do I need to find out more definitively?
Hey, Sarah,
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Justin?
Like I said, I'm not quite sure.
I'm going to send you a link of the map with all the overlay districts that I.
Oh, thank you.
And
That would be awesome.
but
Okay,
it's a
thanks.
secret that someone should have
Key
shared.
thing there is the elevation.
I'll send you the overlay.
Perfect. The carport's not visible from the adjoining parcels, but can be partially seen from Browns Pond Road. The benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved in any other way. The neighbors, have you notified any of your neighbors, Mr. Niebling?
I've talked
I
to
did.
Dal. I want to pronounce this right. Dal Lamagna. Lamagna. He's the property closest to
Right,
the
at the
rear.
back. Yep.
And I also spoke to another neighbor. I don't believe she was involved as far as me, bordering her.
Okay.
But I think she said she got a notification.
Okay.
So I spoke to a couple neighbors. Yeah.
Do we want any letters to that effect from any, do you think anybody here or?
Well, it's, it always helps when you have a letter from a neighbor who supports the application. That's up to you if you want to get it for the, when you go to the zoning board meeting. But it always helps them make the decision.
Okay. All right.
So that's up to you.
Okay. So yeah, well, that's, I think I think I'd be on this Thursday if everything went well and stuff. How does that work as far as the Zoom and stuff like that goes? Just kind of have the paper visible or?
No, just send it to me. Just email it to me and I will forward to the zoning board of appeals.
Okay. Okay. All right. So.
Okay, we're not finished, sir. We
Yep.
got to finish the
Got
resolution.
a little more. The New York State Environmental Quality Review Act has determined that the granting of an area variance for a single family, 2-family, or 3-family residence is a type 2 action, and therefore this action is not subject to further review. Alleged difficulty is self-created. The requested variance is substantial, but this should not preclude its granting. The non-conforming smaller nature of the lots in the area on Browns Pond Road make the variance for a carport not a substantial request. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town of Clinton Planning Board is making a conditional positive recommendation to the Zoning Board of Appeals for an area variance. Conditional would only be if we were going to request that he have the letters, but if we aren't, I don't think that there was anything in here that I was conditioning for, correct?
That's up to the applicant.
Okay, so then this would be.
Do we have a second?
Second,
Okay, do we have any discussion?
I was just going to say it's not an agricultural district,
Thank you.
according to parcel access.
Thank you.
The only thing I have to add on this is, Sarah, you mentioned that there were some trees in the front that the applicant said they weren't going to remove.
Correct.
I think it wouldn't hurt to put that in the resolution that the planning board would prefer that the trees not be removed as an additional barrier or screening for the carport.
The trees that we're referring to, just FYI, were between the residence and the carport, not between any neighbors. So I don't know if that makes that big a difference. I mean, the residence is the only one that would be.
Okay, all right.
The owner would be the only one who those trees would interfere with. And I would hate to put that in there if indeed they do decide to use it as a carport instead of a glorified shed and they wanted access for a vehicle, they would have to take down maybe, they aren't huge diameter pine trees and there are many, it's in a wooded area. So, I mean, they may have to take down, 2 or 3 tops to be able to get in there with a car, but I don't think that it would in any way be detrimental to anyone other than themselves.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion?
Sarah, I think it is in the Ridgeline district. It doesn't matter for your app, you're just other than the wording, but I sent you the link. So just check it out and you may have to add that.
Okay.
It's right on the border. It's either just in or just outside of the Ridgeline.
Okay. All in favor of the resolution?
Justin,
Jack,
aye.
aye.
Aye. Just when you say aye or nay, let me know who's saying it, okay?
Jerry, I.
Tracy, I.
Sarah, aye.
Art, aye.
All aye.
Okay. All opposed? Nobody? Okay, so moved. Okay, Larry, your next step is to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals and you'll get in touch with Arlene and she'll explain everything for you, okay?
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Take care. Good luck.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Kent area variance. Do we have somebody in the room?
Hello,
Is this Stephen Kent?
Liz.
All right. Hello.
Hey there.
Hi, and I'm Melanie Meir.
Okay.
wife.
Hi there.
Hi there.
Okay.
Whatever he says, I agree with, just to get it out on the table at the very beginning.
All right. This is this application. This is a 2-step process. You're in front of the planning board now, which will make a recommendation to the zoning board of appeals.
Okay.
Either a yay, nay, or neutral recommendation. And then the zoning board of appeals will make the final decision on your variance. So if you can explain briefly what you're doing, and then we'll go from there.
Yes, so I need to build a shed. It's, I'm not really calling it a garage, but it's to house, I've got a 16.5-foot boat with it's on a trailer and this antique Porsche that I lucked into over the summer that needs to be stored indoors. And we don't have any garage or any outside storage, and we're kind of bursting at the seams because of the topography of the land. And, it's like a big bowl, with rock outcropping and berms that fend you off from the road. There's one spot that's kind of clear and level, and it's at road level. And that's where I want to put it. And it's a natural place to put it. It'll make it much less expensive and easier to build. But the problem is it's within the setback. I can push it back to 20 feet from what looks like the center of the road. And it's going to be 259 square feet. So not big. It won't have no electricity, no water, no nothing. It's just a shed to put the boat and the car in. It'll be nice. I started, the basis for it was a kit that I got that was 6x6 construction with a black metal standing seam roof, and the posts and wood or cedar, and I'll enclose it with cedar siding. So it's going to be nice. The across the street neighbors support it because I've got boats and ladders and my mower and the mower that died, all stored outside because we got no place to put them. So that's the proposition.
Okay, Justin?
Yeah, so this is on, I can never say this road, Zipfelberg Road.
Zipfelberg Road, yeah.
And it's a very narrow road, and right around this kind of bend in the road, the across the street neighbor has what looks like, I don't know if it's a new barn or it's been renovated, but that barn is like, I mean,
3
you
feet.
can almost hit it with your car if you stuck your hand out.
Exactly. That barn, it was a historic barn originally that belonged to the farmhouse, and I don't want to get into it, but we made an agreement to buy it, but that's the reason. And then she backed out. And we were going to do a lot line adjustment. That's the reason why we don't have a garage. We don't have any storage. But yeah, it's right. It's literally 25 feet from my house, and it's like 3 feet from the edge of the road. So it's like 8 feet from the middle of the road or something like that. And I've also I think it was the zoning board administrator who was here, or maybe one of you guys was here yesterday, and he looked at it and saw that there was that, and then I have a historic smokehouse. It's made out of stone, 1846, that also sits close to the road. I mean, it doesn't, it's not a hazard in terms of the road. It doesn't hurt anything, but it's kind of a feature of the old places around here that they put stuff right up against the road.
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, right, the fact that all these buildings are right on the road means it's not changing the landscape, but it does feel a little bit like you're going through a gauntlet, right, of buildings, and this is adding another building to the gauntlet. I get the purpose for wanting it. The stuff is stored outside right now. The lot is irregular, the land is irregular. There's lots of steep slopes. So to the extent that you want to store a car or a boat, it's currently stored where it should go. And so this is encasing it. I guess, if 20 feet is as far back as you can go, I think that's good. To me, 20 feet seems like a little farther back than where everything is being stored now. Is that,
yeah,
excuse me, correct?
It is. I can push it back, but it's because I'll be able to, have a not very thick, like a 4-inch concrete slab, and I can sort of push it back on that.
Yeah, it's flat. I mean, it's flat, right? I think where it would go.
But about your concern that it's more like a gauntlet or it extends that sense, it really doesn't. You should take, if you have a chance, drive through the area, but it's way, way down on the west side of the property, and there's just woods across the street. It's away from all the other buildings by, I don't know, 200 feet or something. It's a ways.
Yeah, no, I drove it today. I mean, I get it. I saw everything. I don't know if anyone else has thoughts or comments, questions.
Anybody else have any comments on this application? No? Okay, Justin, go for it.
Okay, is everyone okay with it? I mean, you want me to do a positive recommendation unless anyone thinks otherwise?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Resolution.
Yeah.
Resolution of the Town of Clinton Planning Board making a positive resolution, positive recommendation to the Zoning Board of Appeals on the requested variances to section 250 attachment 2, reducing the front yard setback from 100 feet to 20 feet to build a 14-foot by 18.5-foot detached garage as requested by Stephen D. Kent on property located at 231 Zipfelberg Road, Rhinebeck, New York, tax grid number blah, 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 in an AR5 zoning district. Oh, I just wanted to tell you, Mr. Kent, that you had put on AR3 in your application, but you're actually in an AR5 zoning district. Doesn't matter, you're 6.
Okay, I
FYI.
misremembered it.
Whereas 1, the applicant is requesting a reduction in the front yard setback on the north side of the road from 100 feet to 200 feet, 100 feet to 20 feet to build a 14-foot by 18.5-foot attached garage on a 6.16 acre lot. The property is in an AR5 zoning district. The property is not within the Ridgeline Scenic and Historic Protection Overlay District. The property is not in a critical environmental area. The variance requested is substantial. However, the lot is irregularly shaped with steep slopes and wetlands, leaving very little flat area to build a garage. An undesirable change will not be produced in the character of the neighborhood or be detrimental to nearby properties, as several other structures on this property and neighboring properties are close to the road. There is no other location to build the garage without significantly disturbing the environment, given the lot configuration, and the benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method. The proposed variance should not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical and environmental conditions of the neighborhood. The alleged difficulty is self-created, but should not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance, considering the surrounding conditions. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the planning board is making a positive recommendation for approval to the Clinton Zoning Board of Appeals for this requested variance.
Second.
We have a second?
Jerry did.
Okay. Discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Jack,
Sarah,
aye.
Roll call.
Art, aye.
Sarah, I.
Very aye.
Tracy,
Yes.
I.
Justin, I.
Paul, I.
Unanimous, approved. Thank you, Mr. Kent.
Thank you. Wow, that's great.
Arlene will give you the details of your zoning board meeting, and good luck.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Ullman wetlands permit.
I don't know who to let in. I don't have a person with that
Probably
name.
the other weird name. Which one is that?
Night Prairie Kid.
Yeah, probably that one.
And then there's a phone number, 914-456-0058.
I
want me to
guess
look?
let them. I have no idea.
You want me to there's another Mike Todd. You want me to let him in?
My God, I don't know all these people. Oh, the Night Fury Kid. Are you sorry, what's your name?
Hi, I'm so sorry. I'm Karen Rue from the Duchess Land Conservancy, and I
sorry, it's
suspect that
Duchess
my 9-year-old somehow changed the name on my laptop.
Oh. Sorry.
Sorry, I did not see that till this moment.
Okay, well, you're on next. We're waiting for the next applicant to come in.
Is Mike Todd part of the Duchess?
Yeah, let him in. Let's find out who he is.
I'm going to let Aaron in anyway, since we already let her partner in. Yeah. I just let everybody in. And then we'll find out who they are.
Oh, gosh. Aaron Hoagland is with the DLC, yes.
Okay.
Hello.
Mike, you're here, Mike. You're here for what? Mike Todd. Mike, you're here for what? Mike.
He should be connected and he should hear you, except something's not working on his end. He doesn't know though.
You froze.
He froze. Yeah.
He moved.
There's somebody from Rainbow Pools that's
I'm here, yes.
All right, so that's him. That's Mike Todd.
Sorry.
Okay, and you are representing the Ullmans, is that?
I am.
Okay, do we have a letter of authorization? I don't,
There's one in my file.
Do,
Name somebody else from Rainbow.
it's
Pool.
Rainbow Pools. It's, yeah.
It's no point getting excited about that.
Yeah, it's him. We got a letter of authorization, Dave.
okay. All right,
Oh, sorry, you're Mike Todd. Where's Dave?
okay, Mike, you want to tell us briefly what's going on here, and then we'll go from there?
Sure. I have, the Omens want to put a pool in, and on their survey, there's a wetland border dotted line on their survey, which I think you guys have.
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, and I'm not sure if that's the actual buffer, or there's a wetland, or if that's the border of the wetland. So I guess that's what we're trying to determine, or because the way we have it set up where the pool wants to go, it's outside of that dotted line on the survey.
Okay, I'm sure everybody's got some questions here, but Paul, why don't you start off here?
Sure. So, yeah, I mean, there is a question as to where the wetland border is. There's also a water course, it looks like, in a pond. And so I think, you know, what we have here is a sketch. And you know, what I think we need to do, there's a couple of things. There's a DC wetland in there. There's also a federal wetland in there if you look at parcel access.
Right.
And we need to, you know, approval from DEC, given the proximity. And I agree with you, it isn't clear exactly where the border is. You know, and these things have a tendency to change, so it isn't clear when the last time, you know, they went out and flagged it. But I think there'll have to be DC, you know, either permit or something approving, you know, approving the project. And then we have, of course, our own local water law that purview. And I think what would be helpful, what we normally do with these things, and in this one in particular, since it is very close, and it's a pool, you know, we've dealt with decks and things that are kind of involve minimum amount of excavation. This is a pool. So I think we should establish an escrow, have the town engineer look this over and give us kind of a checklist of things that we would ask the applicant to provide. And then he may have to go out and look at it and just sort of scope this out for us, because it isn't clear to me, you know, what information we need. And the water law gives us a lot of discretion, you know, to either streamline an application or require more detailed information. I would just want him to give us, you know, one, to just give us his impression of this, and two, you know, tell us what we need to see. And then obviously the regulatory approval. So DEC and or, you know, federal, you know, Corps of Engineer approval, although that may be just a technicality. So that was my first thing. I think we just established some kind of an escrow for Pete Sotero to look at it. Yep. I'm not saying there's necessarily a problem here. It's just we need to know, you know, there's going to be some construction issues, you know, precautions that need to be taken given the proximity and that kind of thing. You know, we need to know all of that, and then, and if there's anything else that the applicant should be doing, you know, we want Pete to tell us. So that was my kind of initial read.
I totally agree.
Yeah. I definitely see that, that the DEC is probably gonna have to get involved in this. And also, I think, what we're gonna need from the applicant is, the full story here. What, you know, besides the pool, is there gonna be a pool house? Is there, where's the
Right.
pool house? So on and so forth, the construction plan. Because that's gonna be all relative to giving a permit. So I think, having our engineer take a look at it, and a more detailed map, because I'm a little confused. I really can't tell what's what on this map. So, you know, I'm with you on this, Paul.
Well, I have a question. Do we know if that's a buffer line? It has to be a buffer line. So if we're outside of that buffer line, why would we need to do that?
Well,
With all due respect, I'm just asking.
well, on parcel access, it's not a buffer line. It's actually, it's a border.
Okay, that's fine.
And it's very similar to the one you know in the survey. And I'm just thinking, you know, it may very well be dated, and it may, you know, DEC may go out and say, well, we're going to reflag this. But the local law regulates anything within 100 feet of the border. So I think you're clearly within the 100 feet, even if they move this line a little bit one way or the other. You know, you're clearly going to be within 100 feet, and I think their rule is similar. So I think you know, getting this going with DEC, you know, as soon as you can is going to be a big part of the you know, get the equation. And then you know, our engineer is going to want to hear what DEC says, I think, and it's probably going to tell us to wait until we get some advice from DEC. That's my guess, but they can go in parallel, so the engineer can look at this and DEC can start their process at the same time. But I think we need to do that, because Art, I think you're right. There's just not enough detail here to really, you know.
I think I would suggest an escrow account of about $1,000, and whatever's not used, the applicant, of course, gets back. How does the board feel about that?
Sounds about right.
Paul?
Sure. Yep.
Okay. So why don't you make a motion that we do that so the applicant can see it in writing?
Sure. So in the matter of the Michael and Nancy Ullman application for a permit pursuant to the town's wetland protection law, I'm the slash an escrow of $1,000 to provide funds for retention of the town engineer and any other consultants who may be asked to advise on the application. Did I just break up? Because I'm if I broke up, I apologize.
No, I got
It looked
you.
like my internet went wonky for a minute.
Okay. Do we get a second on that?
Jerry, second.
Okay, discussion? All in favor? Art, aye.
Jack,
Oh,
aye.
Sarah, I.
Tracy, I.
Justin, I.
Okay, so moved.
Aye.
Okay, so that's the procedure we'll follow. You will get, Arlene will let you know who our town engineer is, and then you can get in touch with them and get the appropriate data to him so that we can move forward on this.
Okay,
Okay? All right. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, next item on the agenda. The Meadowland Farm. We can let those lovely ladies come in now, finally.
They're in, I think.
You're
Yeah.
in.
We're
Okay,
here.
good. Okay, who do we have here now?
So I'm Erin Hoagland, Senior Land Projects Manager for the Duchess Land Conservancy.
And I'm Karin Rue, Director of Land Projects at the Duchess Land Conservancy. And again, I just want to apologize for my Night Fury Kid ID.
I renamed you.
Thank you. I think my kid got a hold of this somehow. I don't know.
We have a lot of data from you and correspondence. So why don't you just briefly go over what's going on and then we can discuss this, okay?
Sure. Well, thank you for having us on the agenda. I'll try to keep it brief because, as you mentioned, you were provided the materials, but we're here to talk about the DLC's plans to apply to the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets for a grant through their non-dairy farm operations in transitions program, and that's through the their FPIG program, so Farmland Protection Implementation Grants are what they're called. And the result of purchasing the development rights on Meadowland Farm is placing a perpetual conservation easement on the property. And what we're requesting from the planning board tonight is to authorize Chairman DePasqua to provide a letter that discusses the development pressure in the town of Clinton, which we have drafted and is provided in the materials. You're welcome to edit that as you need to, and I can provide you a Word document for that. But we pretty much fully fleshed out kind of what the state is looking for and pointing to some quantitative, numbers about development pressure in the town, and also pointing to a study on a build out plan in the Farmland Protection Plan that specifically deals with the Salt Point Hamlet where Meadowland Farm is located. So the farm consists of 117 acres on Schultzville Road and Salt Point Turnpike, and Judah and Michelle Krashauer are owners of the property for the last 25 years. It is under the ownership name of Louis Fields LLC, but the Krashauers make a point of making the land available to young and beginning farmers who may not have access to land otherwise. And the property is currently home to 2 farm operations. One diversified fruit and vegetable organic biodynamic operation run by Mary Kate Chalemi and Chris Hausman. And they sell their products in the on-site farm store to local restaurants at farmers markets, as well as to a small group of CSA members. And just in the summer of 2020, the Krashauers welcomed another operation, a second operation called Premier Pastures, who's run by a farmer named John McDonald. And he has a hormone-free grass-fed beef, woodland grazed pork, and pasture-raised poultry operation. And this is kind of just to meet an increased demand among consumers for healthier meat products. And he's, in the process of getting fully established on the property, but will also sell his products in the farm store and to restaurants. And while the Krashauers are not the primary operators of either farm operation, they really play an integral role in managing the land and supporting the farmers that lease the property, marketing the products and managing the on-site farm store and website, and working in the fields whenever it's needed. So protection of the property will help to conserve some key resources. More than 84% of the land is in active ag use, and a majority of it is covered in prime and statewide important farmland soils. And almost the entire property overlies some key aquifer recharge areas. There are federal wetlands and 2 sub-tributaries to the Wappinger Creek that run through both sides of the parcels that straddle the road. It's one tax parcel, but there's a sub-tributary on either side of Schultzville Road. And placing the easement will protect these key resources, and also limiting development will lessen the impact or potential impact on statewide important and prime farmland soils that results from heavy development. And I'm sure you're all familiar with how a purchase of development rights works, but essentially the value of the development rights that are being given up is determined by an appraisal, and the landowner is compensated in one lump sum of money at the closing. And at that point, the conservation easement is executed and filed and runs with the land in perpetuity. And it specifically spells out basically how the property can be used in the future, how the development is limited. And really the point of this program is to keep the land conducive to farming into the future. And so the conservation easement itself will allow one subdivision of the entire 117 acres. There's currently one split farmstead area. If you are able to look at the site plan map, those farmstead areas are the areas in red, and there are one on either side of Schultzville Road. And if the property is ever subdivided, there will be basically two smaller farms, and those farmstead areas are where majority of the residential, well, all residential structures other than farm labor housing and majority of, farm complex structures will go inside of that area. And then there is a permission for structures outside of that on the remaining, what's considered the farm area of the farm. And one small rural enterprise area, as it's called, in green on the site plan map, will encompass the existing farm store, just to grandfather that into a use area so it's not floating about. And I don't know if there are any questions.
One thing, I think you said that it was in Salt Point, but it's Clinton Corners, right?
It is Clinton Corners, yeah. It's on Salt Point Turnpike, but it's Clinton Corners.
Okay, Salt Point Turnpike. I think that I don't know if it's referred to as like the Salt Point Prime Soils area. It may fall within in a kind of different context that build out plan is a part of. So sorry for misrepresenting.
No.
Sure.
Couple. Go ahead.
The only thing I wanted to add to Aaron's great summary is that when the conservation easement is placed on the property, the property does still remain on the tax rolls. The landowner is 100% responsible for paying all school, town, county, fire district, all property taxes that they had been paying before and will pay into the future. So there is that component, and what we're asking for in this visit, as Aaron explained just in the beginning, is a letter from the planning board that speaks to development pressure on farms similar to Meadowland Farm, and in terms of development pressure, that can be seen as conversion. What the state is really interested in knowing is what is the pressure of conversion from active farm use to non-farm use, and that can mean going from a really meaningful, independently owned and operated farm operations that have a significant contribution to the community to maybe something lesser than that, or not at all. So that's really what we're here to ask for.
I have a couple of questions, Art, if that's okay, just little ones. Do I understand from your presentation that the rural enterprise area is going to be limited to the existing farm stand, or is there going to be more done there?
The area is about 1 acre in size and was primarily cited to encompass the existing farm store, but there are, other secondary activities that are allowed within that area as long as they are.
So they could tear it down and put up a bed and breakfast or something like that.
Right. And all of, the uses that would be associated with rural enterprises that are permitted would have to be subordinate to the agricultural use, so it wouldn't be permitted that the farm be, converted to a rural enterprise use primarily, as opposed to, the agricultural use that's happening. But yeah, that's an example of a rural enterprise.
Are there any plans to current plans to either put up something in the rural enterprise area or to add additional structures in the farmstead areas?
As of right now, that hasn't been part of the conversation. It would be pretty tight in the rural enterprise area. The landowners haven't expressed that. They do live part-time in the existing farmhouse on the east side of the road. But I think, the purpose of those areas is really just to accommodate any future agricultural structures that may be needed, and residential structures as well.
How big are the two farmstead areas?
Sorry, for
How big?
whatever reason, my audio cut out. Could you repeat that?
How big are the two farmstead areas?
The two farmstead areas are about 4.5 acres in size each.
I don't want to be the Grinch on this, but we've had an experience in the town of Clinton with another large farm that got one of these development grants, and shortly thereafter, the people who owned it and been farming it for a couple of centuries sold, and it is now, at least in my eyes, essentially an entertainment venue where the amount of actual farming is, to be charitable, minimal. So I'm a little concerned. I've driven by the property. I think it's exquisite. I think the Crash Hours have done a fabulous job with this, and it is a real addition to the community. But I wouldn't want anything that we do to be considered approval of any changes that might come. And while I haven't seen the draft letter that you referred to, it wasn't in my package. I think whatever we write ought to be very clear that we are not in any way ruling on or approving or condoning any further development, because ain't nothing before us right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Karen.
I just want to say, so firstly, I don't know the property you're speaking of. I don't know if it's a DLC easement and.
It's not. It's a different.
Okay. So obviously I will say that for the DLC, we have over 400 conservation easements in our repertoire, in our portfolio, so to speak, and each and every one of them are different. This is a state-funded easement, and as Aaron mentioned before, while it does not require the property to be farmed, it does limit commercial use of the property so that it's most conducive to farming. And then secondly, I just want to also point out that this is not a request for endorsement of the application or the project. The town board did actually endorse, we did have to ask the town board to endorse the project, and they did do that last week. What we're asking for is a comment on the development pressure to either this property or similar properties within the town of Clinton. And I completely understand your, concern about having the planning board being painted into, somehow, going along with or endorsing any kind of development of the property. And so we're very happy to work with you on incorporating language that makes it very clear that that's not what the planning board is doing. This request is purely to speak to development pressure and a conversion to non-agricultural use and make that clear.
Good, thank you.
So I don't have the draft letter or the site plan, so it would be great to see those before we, make any, before we issue any letters or anything like that. I'd just like to sort of look that over. But to Jack's point, I just a question about, you set up the easement, but it's a going agricultural concern governed by ag and markets. And, in our experience, ag and markets, their rules trump, local zoning laws to a large extent. And, as long as it's an agricultural enterprise, the owner is allowed to do a number of things regardless of, what the zoning says. How do those rules work with any restrictions you put on property? You know what I'm saying? In other words, if ag and market says, we don't really care what the easement says, our laws allow, a brewery to operate or an entertainment venue or some kind. I mean, do you have any say on that at all, or is it sort of just competing priorities?
Did you want to speak to that, Erin, or do you want me to?
Sure, I can give an answer, and then if there's, if I miss anything or you want to jump in, feel free. I guess I hope I'm answering your question correctly, but there are, certain activities or, activities and permission for construction of structures that does require prior approval from the DLC. So there are, things that we would have the ability to approve or deny a landowner, and that's true of any conservation easement. It is a bit more flexible with the agricultural easements only because, again, the whole point is to, make things workable for a farmer. But to the best of my knowledge, and I know there are, right to farm issues that come up, and maybe that's what you're speaking to, but in terms of development of the property, it would always be, pursuant and approved per the zoning code and what's permitted in the town laws. And Karin, I don't know if there's anything you want to add.
Yeah,
to
I
that.
mean, what we've been dealing with is, agricultural event venues. So you have a farm and you want to have a venue where people come and, drink wine and, or do other things that are related to, consume your products on the site. And our understanding from Ag and Markets and Dutchess County Planning is, we have very little latitude to regulate that if the farmer wants to do it. And so I was just wondering whether DLC in setting up an easement has the ability to say, well, there are only certain things you can do and it doesn't matter what Ag and Market says. You can only do these things and not anything else. That was sort of,
no, that is a topic that has come up at DLC. As the liquor authority kind of expanded what was qualified as like a farm brewery or farm distillery, and really the sort of, to step back and speak broadly, the easement permits commercial agricultural uses, and it does tie it to agriculture, to Ag and Markets law as to what they define as agricultural use. And so they are putting in a bulk of funding, and so they do get to have that say. But I will say that, for landowners, tying what defines agricultural use to Ag and Markets law does allow use of the property to be a little bit more dynamic as we sort of move into the future, where, people once thought of as a farm as just being an open dairy field, and things have obviously diversified hugely since then and may well into the future. And so that is purposeful, in order to allow some flexibility and responsiveness as things kind of move forward. So I guess, it's hard to really fully answer your question other than to say that Ag and Markets is a part of this conservation easement transaction. They're not a holder of the easement or anything like that. But they do retain the right to, in full transparency, they do retain the right within the easement to be a mediator in very, very specific and certain circumstances. And, you know, should there be a disagreement between the landowner and the DLC, and there are like 4 or 5 items that, you know, where Ag and Markets can be the mediator and kind of determine how to interpret the easement. And so this might be kind of, you know, one of those cases of, you know, the DLC ultimately having to, you know, understand that, you know, state law with Ag and Markets is going to have the ultimate say. I don't know if that fully answers your question, but I'm hoping I'm kind of getting to it. And what we do though, within the conservation easement and the limiting of farmstead areas and the rural enterprise area, you know, that does limit where on the property things like a tasting room and things like that can occur. And so, you know, which would be within the rural enterprise area or the farmstead area. So there is that limitation that does happen.
Thanks. So very helpful. Thanks.
Okay. Let's see, Karen and Erin, thank you very much for your hard work on this. I think what we would like to do is a couple of things. One, if you could supply us with those 4 or 5 items that you just spoke about. We don't know exactly what they are. If you can let us know what they are. And also, we want to have everybody review the letter that, not form letter, but the letter you gave me is very good, but I think we're going to add a few things to it.
Sure.
The basic premise for this is very good, obviously. It makes a lot of sense for the town. But I think we're gonna review this a little bit and then we'll add some things to the letter and get you a copy of it, and we'll go from there. So we should be able to do this within a week or so, have it all done for you.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time and consideration and willingness to provide the letter. It's a huge help.
Thank you for your effort too. This is a good thing for all these small rural towns. It really is. And I appreciate your hard work on it.
Thank
I
you
want to
very
say
much.
thank you for your very meaningful questions. That's really helpful. It's nice to know what people are actually experiencing on the, you know, town level and what your thoughts and concerns are. So I really appreciate that, those questions and comments. Thank you.
Okay.
It looks like Arlene is wanting to ask us something, or.
All right. So do you guys want to just do a resolution subject to, you know, or do you want them to come back and present it again, you know, and discuss this? I don't know about their timeline.
I want to review this letter with the board, and then we'll get back to Karen and Erin ASAP if they need to come back. That's, I don't think you'll object to that, right? If you need to come back to the next meeting, would that be
would be
okay?
fine. Yeah, absolutely.
So you don't have like a timeline thing because we're not going to meet in.
Well, I'd like to move this along, you know.
I understand that, but it's the next meeting that we will have is November, the second meeting in November.
Right.
That's why I'm asking about the timeline. Do you have any timeline, Erin?
The application is actually open and basically rolling, so there is no deadline for submission. You know, we're just working to pull together all of the pieces, so the sooner the better. But we're happy to give you the time you need to review the letter and come back if it's necessary.
Yeah, this funding round is a little different from most that we've worked on in that it is a rolling and open application. It doesn't have a deadline. However, there's a limited amount of funding and it's very much a first come, first serve situation. So, if several other organizations submit their applications before we do, then we run out of money. So it's kind of like just trying to do it as quickly as we can, with also completely wanting you to have the time you need.
Right.
We do want to help the crash hours because they really made a contribution here. So
yeah, we will move quickly on this, Karen.
Thank you
We
very,
won't-
very much.
We won't let you hang on this. Don't worry. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming, and I appreciate all the hard work and information. And we'll get back to you shortly. Okay.
Great.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Bye bye
Good night,
now.
all.
Thank you.
Bye.
There.
Have a good night.
Okay, Arlene, make sure that everybody has got a copy.
It wasn't in your packet?
no,
The map wasn't either.
Yeah, I mean, this is what Jack and Paul brought up is very, very important.
Good point.
I'm in full support of what they're doing, but as Jack said, I don't want to give my support and go ahead and then find out I got a brewery and a restaurant and a wedding venue in 6 months.
Right.
So not that that we could stop it, but I want to get it on record, what we support and what we don't support.
Mhm.
So if you can get this information to the board, especially the letter that they gave me, which is very good, but does not have the elements that both Jack and Paul brought up. And I'll put down some notes, and whoever wants to contribute to this as an addendum to what's in this letter, or rewrite it, that's fine with me too.
I mean, do we really have to wait for another meeting? Can't
No.
we just do this
No.
over email?
And
Yeah.
that's always like saying,
Yeah,
can we just do a resolution approving that we're gonna support this, but then subject to the letter that you're gonna be creating?
All we're doing is giving, yes, we support this, but I want to have some, I'd like to have some of the things that both Jack and Paul mentioned, and I'm sure that's on everybody else's mind also.
And this way they don't have to come back and we could just do it next week
No,
or
we can-
whatever. You know what I'm
we
saying?
We can do this via email through
Yeah.
the board. I think everybody can handle that, right?
absolutely.
That's what the town board actually did. They agreed to it, and then the supervisor just sent a letter.
Yeah. Yeah, so get everybody the information, okay, Arlene?
Oh, well, I thought it was there. I'm
And
sorry.
get them,
To the packet.
whatchamacallit's a letter to, Overly's letter.
Yes,
That we
I
got.
sent that email to you, all of this.
Yeah,
The letter from the supervisor. You guys got that, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
but
I
I
do.
didn't get the letter that they gave to Art.
No,
No,
Or the map.
Was that included in the packet? Hold on. Not
I got a
they only
map.
sent it to you, Art. Did they send it to you straight or
map?
did they send it to me? I don't even think I have it.
Tracy got a map?
I got a map. Yeah, I got a
is the
map.
purpose of our letter just
Thank
to
you.
bolster
Got
the
everything.
I
application?
think they sent it to you
no,
straight. Because what I have is what I have on the map. I think, Art, they sent it to you straight.
We can get a map.
I got.
You
some
don't get
maps,
anything, Paul.
with marks on them.
That's what happened. You come in here on a shop with me.
All right, send in everybody an email on that, and can everybody print it out?
Yeah,
Is that all right? Okay, if anybody can't print it out, then
I'll
Arlene
send you
will
a
have a
packet.
copy.
I'll send you a packet. I'll
Okay,
send it to you.
Letter and map, okay.
good.
But the
Letter
whole
and-
stuff that I laid out on the screen, you didn't have that?
No, you didn't, it wasn't on the screen, at least not on mine.
Just your folders.
Yeah.
It's what do you
You
have?
never opened it.
What do you mean?
You just
just
showed
saw
us
your
your
folder.
computer, but you didn't
We
open
didn't see
it.
it, we didn't see anything,
It
yeah.
didn't show my screen?
No.
Showed your screen, you didn't open it.
Showed a list of your files.
Oh, sorry. Oh my God. All the while I thought I was showing the presentation.
Uh,
I wonder why. Sorry.
Okay. Has anybody got anything they would like to chat about?
Next meeting, Art.
It will be their chat list. Okay.
What's the next meeting?
Yeah, we won't have a meeting on election day, obviously. And the next meeting will be, what's the date on that?
17.
17.
Yep.
Yep.
When is Thanksgiving?
I'd like to
After that.
suggest that everybody
A week after
consider contributing to a fund to purchase Art a light so we know what he looks like.
Yes, we could see your face today, Art.
It's a very Halloweeny look.
It is. It is. You don't want to see this face in person anymore. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Great job tonight. Really came up with a lot of good stuff. Thank you, Sarah. You were on the money there.
Thank you for an easy one.
Okay,
Motion
do
to
I have
adjourn.
a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved, Justin.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Bye.
Bye.
So moved. Thank you, everybody.